In your report you mentioned low income. Is there any special provisions for, say, the under 50,000 bracket?
The new programme that is currently being negotiated through ECA and the providers through an RFP process is stipulating the criteria for accessing that low-level income funding. It's also going to have a very strong health focus as well, and very similar to the Healthy Homes programme that the District Health Board has been associated with. There will be criteria associated with respiratory conditions, etc., in order to qualify for the funding that ECA will be putting forward. So it's not just means tested to income, it's also going to have a very strong health component.
Just asked that because I know Councillor Gilbertson was worried about getting in some funding.
Mr. Chairman, I live in a 100-year-old house and we've insulated, and it does make a difference, and it's been through all the earthquakes. So, I'm just interested in the cost structure that's being recommended. Back on paragraph 12, you said the impact on ratepayers, so. The clean heat loans is about 120k over the life of the program, and then you said to be consistent, the clean heat loans, the insulation loans and so on, need to be altered as well. Is that within the 120, or is that an additional to the 120?
No, that's the 120 is the expected increase over the duration of the programme associated with the upper threshold,
which is funded from loan.
Yep. Yep.
The second question, Mayor. Yes. I know you said that it's negligible the people over 100k, and people may or may not tick the box. I personally take a view that this is really aimed at the people that can't afford it, not really the people that could. And even though it might be negligible, my view is we should leave that in. Do you have a strong view either way? It doesn't make a difference.
Yes, I do. It's from a practicality point of view. We have an honesty sort of rating where people, as you say, tick the box. To actually police that will be very difficult for the number that we're dealing with, and gaining access to bank accounts and income, etc. To actually police it thoroughly would be sort of counterintuitive, I think.
I appreciate that. I'm thinking more it's the symbolism, and if they lie or mislead, I mean, you're not going to go and check it up, surely, I agree. But as a symbol to say it's open to anybody on $1 million as opposed to 50,000 or less, I think, I just wonder about that. In terms of the number of people that are affected by that, statistically, when we started the programme, it was about 4% of the total.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to dwell for a moment on 21.2, Mark, the heat pumps. Are they those pumps put in by a matter of choice by the consumer, or do you have a contract with a supplier to? So you've got uniform heat pumps going into like houses? We
have multiple suppliers of different products in the heat pump range, and it is, as you say, a personal choice, and it depends on people's circumstances. Nationally, the figure is much higher for heat pumps than fires compared with Hawke's Bay. A lot more people replace fires with fires in Hawke's Bay, and that's simply because 40% of the people who are replacing a fire have access to free firewood. The upside of the heat pump side is that they're much better at cooling you down in the summer than fires, and for some people they reach a stage of life as well where the faff of dealing with chopping wood and all the rest of it is no longer practical for them. So there are a lot of personal choices involved in what they introduce.
Mr. Chairman, very interesting report, and it's good to see how far ahead we are, but the overriding fact is that the NES was introduced for an outcome, that being health benefits. What are we doing to track those health benefits? Are we doing any check about absentee days, admissions to hospital for respiratory conditions, anything like that?
I don't have that information specific for Hawke's Bay. However, the National Air Quality Working Group that I attend is looking at the health benefits with a correlation between the Ministry for the Environment and the Ministry of Health. I don't think they have published any definitive data on what the impact is yet, because it is still relatively early in the programme.
However, Mr. Chairman, an update as to where that's going would be very helpful.
Yep.
Because there is a reason for doing this. There's a reason for us having that targeted rate, and as you know, it was not without contention. It would be good to know if we could gain any indication of any good health outcomes from this.
I'll be happy to pursue that for you.
Makes sense. Other questions? Excuse me, other questions? Someone happy to move us in that direction? Councillor McGregor, seconded. Councillor Scott, you wish to speak?
Really, just to reiterate that I think councillors are pretty pleased with the way this program's going, and good work's been done.
Councillor Scott.
Mr. Chairman, I do wish to speak, and I guess upmost in my mind is the fact that my Singaporean refugee children arrived off a flight from Singapore the other night, around midnight, and the little one, because they came out on their own, the little one suddenly bursts into tears as he gets there and says, "Oh no, I've forgotten my mask, I can't go outside." And you realise just what, and it's not Singapore's fault, that they cannot move outside. Mind you, their exceedances were reached 401 as against ours of being over 50. However, I do think it is important that this is not just being done to a number of conversions or anything else. Its prime importance is to bring about our health improvement. And at the time, I think we all started this with a great deal of suspicion that it was being imposed on us through the NES. But as we moved through the hearings on the plan change and got the medical data together of the harm that PM10s do, and being able to combine both the reduction in PM10s with insulation, so we're getting improved dry homes, the double whammy to try and improve health. I think it would be interesting to be able to track that there are health benefits from it, which is our prime focus, is to improve the health of the vulnerable.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I support Councillor Scott on that. I thought it would be quite good to know that the millions and millions of dollars that we spent on this program is actually having some benefit, and it probably would have been actually better to have known what the benefit was before we spent the money.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was pleased to get this paper, and it's very interesting, and it's just to add on to where Councillor Scott spoke, the maturity that's come through from the inception of this program has been quite helpful and quite enlightening. One only has to note now the comments in the newspaper about the burning of prunings. 5 or 6 years ago, it was people complaining because they couldn't burn prunings within the airshed. Now it's residents complaining because there are prunings being burnt, admittedly outside the airshed, but you can perceive the change in public opinion which has moved over the 5-year period. And it's just interesting, I can't help it, Mr. Henny, but I don't know how you're going to get on dealing with ones, WUNZ. That's the new acronym of the year. But in all things like this, Mr. Chairman, there are anomalies, and I was alerted to a property the other day where they lay just inside the airshed by a matter of a metre, and the guy had pulled out his block of Golden Queen peaches, and because it was a metre within the airshed, he was prohibited from burning those Golden Queen peaches until September. Had it laid a metre on the other side, he could have burned them and destroyed them as they came out. So some people do pay the price for good health, I suppose. But a very good paper.
Other speakers wish to sum up? Councillor McGregor.
Commenting that back in the days of the first regional council, if anyone had said that we would be looking at a paper like this, they would have just shaken their head in wonder. There was just no way that we could consider trying to control people burning and warming their homes with open fires and that type of thing. So it just shows how things change in a relatively short time. That's the dynamics of life.
Very well rounded up. Okay, I'll put that motion, and all those in favour, please say aye. Contrary, no. Carried. Thank you.